under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to open. Item 4 is public comment, which is the opportunity for residents to comment briefly on matters included on the agenda or otherwise of interest to the Board of Trustees. Public comment is limited up to 3 minutes per speaker. We'd like to start with the people who signed in. I'd like to start with Peter and Ann. Thank you. And so if you step up to the podium right here.
I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. First of all, I want to thank everyone for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight. And I feel like this is my political science 101 class, to be honest with you. My name is Peter Michipino. I've been living on Eagle Drive for 34 years. First, my wife and I understand that the Lake Zurich Water Project is important. We also understand that as residents living in the unincorporated part of the Mundaline, that we are not part of any government entity that is part of this project. Based on my reading and my research that I've done quite a bit of, use of the Eagle Drive route over the Diamond Lake route could save CLC Jawa and Lake Zurich an estimated $4 to $5 million. Using Eagle Drive may be the cheaper and faster way to Lake Zurich, but we feel that asking us to host and deal with 4 to 12 months of disruption is extremely unfair and insensitive. If the board is determined to vote tonight, we strongly request that our Ela Township board members vote no to CLC's Jawa's request to use Eagle Drive, and that they find another way through an area that is represented by a government entity who can fully benefit from this project. Please say no. With my research, I went back to October 25th, and at that time, Jawa purchased land to build a pumping station at Route 83. I believe at that time is when they determined to use Eagle Drive as their preferred route. That's about, a year and a half ago, when they had a good idea that they were going to use that route, and we found out on February 19th that they had switched to Eagle Drive. I looked at the routes that they picked out earlier, 5 or 6 different routes. None of them mentioned Eagle Drive. There was every single route in Lake County except for ours. That's unfair. I would say that, I'm most disappointed in the lack of transparency, that you have hid a lot of information from the people in this community. And my one last point is this, and that is that if you take a vote tonight, 2 people on the board live in Lake Zurich. Lake Zurich is getting the water. They're going to benefit from the Lake Michigan water, but not the people on Eagle Drive. And I would say, if you're saving $5 million and you could put the money in an escrow account to help the people who live on Eagle Drive, to protect our wells and everything else. So I would ask the 2 people who live in Lake Zurich to please abstain from voting because it's a conflict of interest. Thank you.
And
I'm Gordon McGrew. I live on Hazelwood Court, on Catlow Court. And I just want to second my neighbor's comments about the lack of transparency in this issue. It came out of nowhere, and it would have been over before we even knew about it if we had, one of our neighbors had anonymously distributed flyers about a month ago. This is not the way to go about conducting a major infrastructure project in our neighborhood. On that basis, and just the fact that I don't think that running a 24-inch water main out Lake Zurich going through our little neighborhood is appropriate. Keep it on the main drive. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. James Hale, please.
Hello, I'm James Hale, and I live on Eagle Drive. I urge you to vote no, just for all the many, many reasons you have heard and will hear tonight. But the only point I really want to make right now is that you don't have to make a vote now, or even a month from now, or even 2 months from now. I read through the February 2025 report that Java posted online. Apparently, they first did an engineering study in 2021, so they've been working on this for 5 years. In their study last year, they did not propose Eagle Drive, but they looked at 5 other options. Other options that don't even go through anywhere near us, such as going down to the ComEd Power Corridor that runs from Grosse Point. But the other thing I'd say that when you really have time is it's not going to come up for a vote in Long Grove for months, is what they told me when I called them. And even if you go through Eagle Drive, it still has to go along Eagle Creek Road, which is controlled by Long Grove. Before it gets to Eagle Drive, they are planning to go through Diamond Lake School. And Diamond Lake School Board has not voted for this. And when they do vote, I will let you all know so that you can go and make your presentation from that. And I don't even know how they're going to get from the attachment point in Vernon Hills to Grosse Point all the way over to Diamond Lake Road. But, all I can say is you guys don't feel rushed that you have to approve it now just because they keep telling you the time is of the essence, because there's still plenty of time.
Thank you. Pete, now?
Good evening, Pete Alley, also from Eagle Drive. Thank you for the opportunity for us to express points of view. At last week's meeting, we had a lot of information that was presented to us from CLC Jawa and others. And that information, I think, stimulated a lot of us to think about things in a little bit different way. One of them is that we became aware of the pumping station on Route 83, and that, in fact, CLC Jawa is actively pursuing and perhaps already has secured easements to accommodate that location of the pumping station. So that seems to beg the question, why wouldn't they be able to negotiate easements along the east side of Diamond Lake Road, which was extensively discussed last week? The second was the discussion about fire hydrants. And one of the people that was here from our residents actually researched the fire hydrant situation, and it turns out that blow-off valves are not the same as fire hydrants. They have a different design. And that also, I think, begs the question of how thorough was this evaluation done? We were led to believe that these are fire hydrants. Turns out that might not be the case. And as I researched this and looked at different town councils that have specified pipe diameters and things like that, it doesn't look like it's sufficient. I want to turn this to a positive thought, though, about negotiations. In the agenda for tonight, the topic says negotiating. Start negotiating. That triggers another interesting aspect. Turns out that other communities have been good negotiators, like Hawthorne Woods has apparently negotiated a water allotment as part of the permission to grant the route for the pipe. Perhaps our board here, you, could think about negotiating something similar so that we would have access to the Lake Michigan water as part of this arrangement. That's what people who are willing to work That's what's referred to as negotiation. So I strongly urge you to do the same thing. And if that requires voting no on the current routing, so be it. But take the time, please, to negotiate an outcome that would be beneficial to us. Surely, we heard many reasons from CLC Java why we could not have access to water. But you know what they say, where there's a will, there's a way. And we believe, as residents of this community, that there would be a way to do it. We just need your help as our representatives to figure out what is the best route forward in order to accomplish that. Last week, we also found out some information about the various aspects of the project, and that routing it through Eagle Drive is the cheapest alternative. Why not turn some of that savings into something that benefits us, such as access to the water? And I urge the trustees to work for us, negotiate, as the agenda item says. And if that means voting no on the current motion, please do so. Eagle Drive may seem expedient, it may seem cheaper, but we ask you to vote no and ask CLC Java to come to the table with alternatives that would make a difference for us in a positive way. Thank you.
I'm Brian Carlson from Eagle Drive. My fellow neighbors have spoke very eloquently tonight in the other meeting, so I'm not going to rehash everything, but I think you should also vote no and have it rerouted. I mean, if the three options are Eagle Drive, Diamond Lake East Side, Diamond Lake West Side, Diamond Lake East Side makes the most sense. Again, I was somewhat excited to hear, we could be getting hydrants, but they're not standard hydrants. They're blow-up valve hydrants with diminished capacity. A standard hydrant in a subdivision or a neighborhood, you'd be putting every 300 to 500 feet. That's a standard hydrant. So you'd need more of these hydrants in a closer proximity, and they're incredibly unsightly. They're blue, then you've got the pressure valve release things, and if those things are scattered all over the subdivision to try to compensate for the capacity of a standard hydrant, it would be a disaster, right, as far as looks would go. And then I thought maybe we could get use the water, and we can't, which was another possible selling point, but now we can't use the water. Obviously, too, Eagle Drive was ground and overlaid last year, so we don't need a new surface. It was brought up. I'm a trust but verify guy. I contacted the Lake County. I spoke with Mike. He's the Lake County Highway Planning Supervisor, and I asked him if anybody reached out to him or his department about possible road widening expansion of Diamond Lake, and his answer was no. On their website, the 2040 Transportation Plan, Diamond Lake is not listed. On the Envision 2050 plan on their website, it's not listed. I asked Mike what the traffic count was out there, and if they had one. He said, yes, we have a traffic count. It was from 2021, but it mirrors the numbers that we saw last week of 5,300 cars. He actually breaks it down going north on Diamond Lake from Indian Creek and south on Diamond Lake from Indian Creek. But I asked him the numbers that he had. Would it be even on his radar? Is it screamed this road needs to be widened? And he said, absolutely not. It does not need to be widened. There is no talk of expansion of any subdivisions or neighborhoods near us. There's no talk of expansions or any type of building, any type of commercial buildings near us that would increase any type of vehicular traffic and volume on Diamond Lake Road. So again, Diamond Lake East Side is definitely in play. There are 8 homes on Diamond Lake. If you've been on Diamond Lake, the aerials views that you guys put up last week, you couldn't see it, but you can barely see the homes on the east side of Diamond Lake from Diamond Lake Road. They have a wide and deep trench that runs parallel to Diamond Lake Road, which screams, put a water pipe in me. And as far as I know, no one has even asked those residents if they would be opposed to having that there. You would think that would be a logical first step, would be to even ask if they had any interest in that and being compensated for it. So again, my vote, or my recommendation, please vote no, putting the pipe down Eagle Drive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bob Clancy. Arlene and I lived on Eagle Drive since '86. We know what the subdivision's like and how beautiful it is. I don't think all of you have seen our subdivision. Oh, you all met? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the time that you're giving us. First thing, one of the things we had from the last meeting was that you were going to show some kind of budget difference between the Diamond Lake route and the Eagle Drive route. I don't know if that's available yet or not. I'm not here right now. Okay. That's good. Okay. Next thing is, has anybody been working on that's right of way on the east side of Diamond Lake Road down to Indian Creek?
This isn't a question and answer.
Okay, well, it's a question for that I think should be answered.
Sure.
If there's any kind of sincerity, then let's take a look at that east route and see what can be done with it.
Sure.
I drove by it too. I think it's doable. And listening to what Brian had to say about the expansion plans for Diamond Lake Road, to me, it's a no-brainer. I really believe that straight shot down the east side of Diamond Lake Road to Indian Creek Road and then head west, that's the best option, hands down. Other than that, I would just say that my concern, of course, is that our neighborhoods can be devastated for a year. Not 3 months. It's going to be a year. And it's not a real pleasant thing for anyone here to get up in the morning and think, oh, are they coming today? Are they coming tomorrow? That sort of thing. That's very disturbing. I don't see any reason why you have to go through our neighborhood. And I would sincerely wish and hope that you would vote no when this thing comes up for a vote. Thank you.
Mark Dillon?
I'm Mark Dillon. I'm on Carrollhead. I don't know if you drove in the neighborhood. If you did, it's way in the back. We used to call it the C before it connected. I have a couple concerns. Some of them have already been addressed by other people, so I'm not going to go over those again. But one of them is, being so far in the back, if there's only one entrance open, if Tahoe and Eagle are blocked as well, we're trapped. And no mention has ever been made of what's going to happen to all those people being trapped in there without a way out of the neighborhood. My second question was, you talked about if this pipeline does go through, that there's going to be maintenance required. How often is that? And how long will the maintenance last? And those are just questions that I don't feel that have been addressed at all. Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Tim Jensen, please.
Please vote no. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Rick Orchard? Here. O-R-C-H-E-R? Orchard? Rick? Is there anyone else that would like to speak before we...
Is it Whittier?
Yes, I'm sorry. Could be. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you. I read it as an L. Thank you.
My name is Rick Whittier. I live on Arrowhead Drive, right at the corner. And like some gentleman just said before me, it is an absolute beautiful subdivision. I fell in love with it first time I looked at a house there.
and we immediately bought one. The only thing is, if it went down Eagle, yes, it's hard for anybody to have any construction by them, but it could be 3 months of real construction, but it will take a year to get looking better. If they go down on the west side of Arrowhead by my house, they're taking 35 feet of my property. Not the county, my property. The whole berm will be eliminated and never to be seen again. And talk about taking the beauty of the entrance away from that place. I try to keep my yard up top notch at all times. And they would take the berm away from me. They would take all my flowers I got in there away from me. They would take 35 feet of permanent easement. That berm would be gone the whole length all the way to Indian Creek Road. That is the absolute worst decision to make. I don't know the right answer, which one is right, but I know which one is wrong. And going Diamond Lake Road west, that is the absolute wrong one. I'd rather have it go on down to Arrowhead Drive before it goes in my backyard and takes all that. And I don't think anything through that subdivision is the right answer, but I know that my backyard is the wrong answer. I have other neighbors here too that will say the same thing. You know, someone says it would take a year to up and running, looking good. A year? This is forever. You're talking about forever that berm will be gone. And there's no way anyone should allow it even to come into that subdivision if it goes down that berm. Because that was a selling point for that property, and it'll decrease my value of my property tremendously. As far as the hydrant goes, I think a blow-up hydrant is better than nothing, because right now we have nothing. But I'm not an expert on it. I just know some water is better than no water. But I really think that you cannot let it happen on Diamond Lake West. It has to stop now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So anyone else would like to speak before we move on to the next point on the agenda? Okay. Number 5 on the agenda is CLC Delaware and the Village of Lake Zurich for a follow-up for water retention project. I'm not sure who will be speaking. Thank you for coming today. I just wanted to clarify that this is not going to be a question and answer format. I'll be making comments, and no comments from the audience will be entertained at this time. We will be happy to answer any questions if you call or email us afterwards, but this is just a comment period.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ray Keller. I'm the village manager for Lake Zurich, and I'm on here on behalf of not just Lake Zurich, but also CLC Java and their 13 other members who are participating in this project. We have a very simple ask, pretty straightforward, and it's something that's routinely happens every day all across the country. We're asking to put a pipe under a road in Ela Township right. Happens everywhere. There's infrastructure currently along Eagle Drive, Diamond Lake, Indian Creek, all through the area, and we're asking to add our pipe to bring the transmission line into Lake Zurich for this project, which we've talked about quite a bit. Last week, our team did a really good job of providing the information. We've answered a lot of questions. That was after previous meetings where they've answered a lot of questions. They did a 14-page FAQ. They have content online. I appreciate that it doesn't fit a lot of what you want to see happen. I appreciate that that's not always the easy answer. In Lake Zurich, we talk about radical transparency. We do provide the information. We do answer the questions. And we don't shy away from it. You may not like the answers, but there are answers. We have provided that information. It's factually correct. It's almost always well-reasoned. And it's there for folks. We make it available. And so we pick up the phone and answer emails and answer anything that might come up to our attention. try to get that, so that we, our board, can make as informed decisions as possible, and so that folks can know what to expect as much as possible. So as we talked about, we're bringing Lake Michigan water, not just to Lake Zurich, but to Lake County, this portion of Lake County. There'll be a couple of neighborhoods in Lake County that will be benefiting as they are Lake County customers. As part of that, we also talked about, there was references to Hawthorne Woods. Yes, Hawthorne Woods someday may possibly connect to Lake Michigan water. And there's been a lot of discussion about the allocation process. That's not something that we control. That is something that is regulated through the state, and that is downstream, literally and figuratively, from a multi-state, multi-province compact governing how water is taken out of the Great Lakes. So as much as we'd love to be able to bring you water, and if you all wanted to put in water mains and stuff, we are unable to do that legally. That is a process that Hawthorne Woods is just taking the steps to go through with the state, and if they want to pursue that option. So, again, that would be something that if the Ela Township or the neighborhood or whoever wanted to go that route, that would be the first step, which is what Hawthorne Woods is going through right now. As we talked about, Lake Zurich residents are going to benefit from this, and Lake County residents, and also want to remind you, not to put too fine a point on it, about 20,000 of your constituents are also going to benefit. That transmission pipeline that we've been talking about, we are committed to the location of the booster station, the Mundell line. We're committed to Indian Creek Trail, Indian Creek Road. It is coming through this area. And what we're asking for is the ability to use your right-of-way to turn northward as expeditiously as possible to go and connect those 2 points and get from Indian Creek to go north and then eventually head east toward the booster station. Yes, it is less expensive to use your right-of-way. It would also be less disruptive. We're not going through other people's roads or front yards. We're staying as far away as possible from the wells and the trees and burns and everything else that people care about. And we care about those things too. But the pipeline is going to be going through this area. That is going to happen. We just hope to do it cooperatively and working with you using that right away instead of going through the easement process. Now, I'm not sure how it was provided. I believe Bill and his staff had provided you a comparative cost estimate of what that means. We referred to costs to very rough estimates at this point at the macro level for our project. We've estimated that the pipeline between Eagle Drive and Diamond Lake Road is about the same length. So that means that the material costs and the labor costs are going to be roughly equal. The delta on those two lines, on those two options, is going to be the cost of going and acquiring easements along Diamond Lake, one side or the other, and then the delays that are associated with that process, which is, again, a very highly regulated process. As you go through that process, there will be delays, and those time delays do add to the cost of the project. Now, you might ask, well, what does that matter? What does that matter to all of you, or any of them, or anybody else who's on our system? Well, we run an enterprise system. For those of you who are not familiar with it, that means that we have to cover our costs of our water system, and that will include ultimately covering the cost of Lake Michigan water. So for every bit where we're unable to save money, either on the focus on the time or the additional cost of buying those easements, it's going to add on to at the back end to the rates that our customers are going to be facing. And that, again, is based on usage. So people do have some control over that, but ultimately those debt payments and other things that we have to pay for as part of this project are going to be on those rates. And again, not to put too fine a point about it, but that will also affect your constituents and our customers. So that is why we are focused about cost. And every little bit and every little segment counts and adds up very quickly. So we're conscious of that because we do have an obligation to our users, our taxpayers, and also to the agencies that are involved in this, the state in particular. They watch very closely when we're putting this all together. We talk about partners. We're working with and already have commitments from IDOT, from Lake County. We've got Hawthorne Woods and Long Grove. No, they haven't approved their agreements yet, but in principle we have agreed, and they are cooperative. And we're working with them on that. We've got Mundell and Vernon Hills and Long Grove as well, all participating in this project. And we only ask that you add yourselves to that list of partners. again, to our benefit of our residents and our customers, and also to your constituents as well that are going to benefit from this project. We talked about the blow-off hydrants. Chief Smith was very kind to come to our meeting last week, talk about it, and I believe he did talk at length about the benefits of having a permanent water supply nearby, much closer to this neighborhood than what is currently available. That he's not hauling water through tenders or other means to get water should, heaven forbid, on a bad day, they have to fight a fire in this neighborhood. Now, even if you don't have to fight a fire in this neighborhood, which I hope is the case, meaning that is one of those other ancillary benefits that folks can also contact their homeowners association or homeowners insurance brokers and find out. Are they better off or are they worse off by having a permanent water supply made much more closely available to their homes? Our team didn't sugarcoat this. We made it pretty clear that this was going to be disruptive. They've outlined, I think, realistic expectations and timelines for what this would look like on Eagle Drive or on Diamond Lake. And again, just the necessity of bringing the pipeline through this part of Ela Township, that will happen at some point. The contractors who we work with typically are in and out as much as possible is under 3 months. We talked before about how the actual construction is under about 3 months. Depending on weather, depending on if they happen to run into some problem or unforeseen circumstance in the ground. And when we're talking about a year, we're talking about the entire scope, including watching the grass grow after its restoration along the pavement, after the road is repaved. And the benefit there is also, yes, we know you just repaved Eagle Drive. Timing is not ideal, but if by repaving it after if we dig it up, then that means that you're going to reset the meter another 5 years or so in order before you have to touch it again as a township. The actual disruption for most folks, as Bill and Andrew and our staff have talked about, it's about a day. Our contractors are good about, and they are experienced in working with getting residents in and out of their driveways. They're experienced with getting the sheriff's department and the fire department and the Amazon driver and UPS and everyone else, the Postal Service, all the other services in and out of those areas. And yes, they're used to working under traffic conditions. They do keep the neighborhoods open. It's not going to be blocked off. There might be a delay when someone has to move a piece of equipment, but they're used to that. And that is part of that complication of dealing with Diamond Lake. It is a higher volume road, and there will be more complicated, more moving pieces in dealing with that. So that is a consideration when we say it'd be less disruptive and less expensive to use Eagle Drive. Just keep it in mind, and I think a few residents appreciate, you at least heard this part, it is temporary. Yes, there is going to be disruption. There will be evidence of our presence there for about a year after, well, like I said, ground is restored, the pavement is finished and restriped, if that ends up how you want to do it, and then the grass is growing back. But then after that, you can take a look and you can ask for any of the other locations where pipeline is. There's over 50 miles of it throughout Lake County. It gets better, it gets restored, and people forget that we're even there. CLC Jolly has an excellent track record of making sure of that, as we do in Lake Zurich with our projects as well. We're not in the business of hiding. We are there, we pick up our phones, we respond to complaints on a regular basis. That's our track record, that's how we roll. And that's also why we partnered with CLC Java. That's how they roll. They don't leave it behind, they don't hide, they're there, we're here answering questions and trying to be as responsible as possible and as transparent, as forthright as possible. So, if something does happen to go sideways, we're here for it. We're not going to dodge it. Both neither CLC Java nor Lake Zurich are in the habit of running away and hiding. And that's where we're not going. We're going to do it and make it right. We've said that multiple times. And I guess at this point, after the meetings and the information that we've provided, we hope that we're hopefully enabling you to make as informed a decision as possible. All of our content, all the FAQs, all the stuff online. At this point, we pretty much have asked and answered all the questions. Again, we provided that information. Folks may or may not like the information. It may not fit what they'd like to see happen, and we respect that. Everyone has their own point of view. I guess in terms of our presentation and sharing this information with you, yeah, you either believe it or you don't. And I leave that to you to make your individual decision on whether or not that is the case. We're asking you to use Eagle Drive because it is less expensive, it is less disruptive than going through private property in other routes. We are going to be going through someone's front yard or backyard, closer to wells and playgrounds and trees and things that people care about if we're not using right-of-way, which is, again, something that happens every day all across the country and where there's infrastructure all over already. We'd rather not do that. We'd rather not go through people's backyards or front yards. But at the end of the day, we are going to have to get to where we need to go. We will be getting from Indian Creek Road to Mundelein to the booster station. And in that process, we'd rather work with you rather than working around you or one way or the other. So unless you say otherwise, what we're offering is CLC Java will put together a draft intergovernmental agreement that will memorialize our commitments to you and how this will work and what our estimated timelines would likely be. And this is what we're doing. We're committing to be responsibly as possible constructing this pipeline through this area to benefit our customers, our residents, and your constituents and residents as well. If and when you approve the IGA, we are then free to get on with planning how we're going to get it in and out of everyone's way as quickly as possible, or not, as we're bringing Lake Michigan water to Lake Zurich and to Ela Township. At this point, if there's something else that our staff you don't want to add, if there's something specific that I can't answer at this point, we'll be happy to do so. So thank you for your consideration of the way.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. That's it for that. Before we move on to number 6, which is old business, I'd just like to say a few words. I obviously attended all the programs too, and some of the things with the presentations were unclear. And so I asked for follow-up, which Mr. has been great as a CLC Java. I asked about, one of the residents brought up about the 83 to Midlothian and why that wasn't used. That wasn't used due to higher traffic count and needing to avoid the new overpass over the railroad. I asked about the 83 to Gilmer. That alternative was discounted due to longer length, higher traffic counts, and a county right of way. It's not feasible with the pump station site right now. So currently on the table, we have 2 options from CLC Java in the village of Lake Zurich: Diamond Lake Road or Eagle Drive or Arrowhead Drive. If Diamond Lake was their only option, CLC Java would be looking to purchase 45 feet of private property, as well as to remove 50-year trees and berm. I personally would not like to sell 45 feet back of my yard and have the berm removed. I would not want that for my neighbors as well, nor have the pollution, sound pollution, and street pollution come in that berm is preventing. If they cannot come to an agreement, there are other options they have to take that land, and I don't think that's fair to those homeowners that live on there, as we represent them as well. On Eagle Drive or Arrowhead, from my understanding, each household will experience 1 to 2 days during working hours of obstructed use of their driveway, and the roads will be available to walk your dogs every day. And I think that's important too to note, because I have dogs and I know how it is important to get out and walk. They work at 200 to 400 feet per day in the last presentation they gave us. The quicker they are out, the quicker the construction team gets paid, and that's what they're all looking to do. Emergency vehicles, landscaping, and other services would be able to reach homes and subdivisions. The request for the blowout hydrants was a request from the township. It wasn't something that was just offered. We are looking out for all of our residents, whether you live in Lake Zurich or whether you live in Indian Trails. We are working for everyone. We don't represent one people only. I understand the challenges for those who work from home, as I have for years. I know outdoor disturbances can cause havoc on a work day. I have some ideas to get through that as well. There are 2 board members, as Pete brought up, who live in Lake Zurich, and I am one of them. We checked with our attorney, who is here, if we should recuse ourselves from the vote. He gave a long legal explanation. I cut it down, let me know if it's wrong. But it says Illinois law says township officials cannot vote on something that would personally make money from it or have private financial interest in the contract. Being a Lake Zurich resident and paying for water like everyone else does not count as a conflict, because the benefit is shared by the public and not just one person. That means there's no conflict here since there is no special or personal financial gain. The next step in today's meeting is to see if the board would consider this project and what the Ela Township Board would require from CLC Jawa for the residents to allow the construction, Eagle Drive or Arrowhead. We are voting to begin negotiations with each resident's need in mind, not to approve the project. I would like to have residents participate in this conversation on what they would need in some meaningful way within reason. I would like a representative, or up to 3, to represent homeowners. We can set a meeting date to discuss this before the end of the month. The board would still have the right to say no to the project if the elements didn't meet what we would require. The road where the work is proposed are township roads, which means the township owns them and maintains them. Water pipes would be installed under the roadway, and no private property should need to be used. Because the township is responsible for snow plowing, road repairs, signs, tree trimming in those areas, we want to make sure everything is reviewed carefully and done correctly before moving forward. We understand that there is not a rush to do this. We want to make sure it's right for everyone. So with that, I'd like to move to number 6, which is old business, the Lake Zurich Water Expansion Project. I'd like to have a motion to begin negotiations to enter an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Lake Zurich for the use of the public easement in the Indian Trail subdivision.
Make a motion.
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Can we about to have discussion on with representatives here? Or
Yeah, you just made an ask of us. Can we respond to that?
Pardon me?
She just made an ask of us, if I understand what you were saying. Can we respond to that?
I didn't make an ask.
I thought you were saying you wanted us to have a 3-person committee by the end of the month to represent us. I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood what you're
That
saying.
is correct. If we move forward with an intergovernmental agreement, things that we would be looking for.
Things you would be looking for are what exactly?
That's what we would be meeting with the residents for.
You'd want us to form, to provide a 3... Well, that's what I'm saying. You just made an ask of us to provide a 3...
If we move forward with the intergovernmental agreement, yes.
And not necessarily at this meeting.
Not at this meeting.
I thought it was within a month, but okay.
Do you understand the concept of an intergovernment relationship? I mean, of what she's proposing?
No, I don't think I do.
Basically, it's
We could have Rob explain.
The relationship would be, there's a negotiated agreement between 2 units of government that would be mutually beneficial. So it's not just saying yes or no outright. You would have to agree to terms and various the township would need versus what the village and CLC Jawa, obviously, we know what they want to do. So in order to protect the residents and the township's interest, we would have, I think as the presentation by the village manager indicated, that there would be an agreement. This isn't just a yes or no by the township. There has to be agreed upon terms and bargain for exchange. So there's an actual contract that says the CLC Jawa or the village is going to give or commit to or promise these certain things, and in exchange we allow the pipeline to go through on the township's right of way, subject to all of these other conditions. Right? So it's not just a carte blanche that she goes through, and it's not saying how to say no. They get to do it, and the residents from the township get something as well.
So there is, in other words, put some conditions on this. But I just want to go back to the part about that. Who's in charge of getting this 3-member committee that you spoke of? Is that our responsibility? Is that your responsibility?
It wouldn't be my responsibility.
Who?
We haven't.
I would recommend that you're able to, after the meeting, this is a business meeting of the township, so the township board should be the one is under debate. Public comment is over. The open presentation seems to be over. So I don't want to be rude or harsh, but it should be on, there's a long agenda tonight, so the township board should probably be the one deliberating this. And then if there's other comments or questions, I'm sure the supervisor and the board will be here after, or make an appointment to follow up. afterwards.
Thank you. Doug, what was your question?
If I can address it, we're talking about physical, construction, everything else, right? And disruption. Within that, and I think Ray, you said, we'll be there to have your back if anything arises. I don't know what this responsibility line comes down to. And I pulled CLC Dallas audit report for 4/30/25. They had approximately $2 million operating loss for that year. Since 2021, they've had operating losses. And the only thing that's given them the benefit to stay in a positive mode is an item called other income, to which they restate that the other income represents unique, non-recurring types of income. Well, non-recurring tells me it's a one-time shot. So as far as the financial ability, well, number one, for debt service. Secondly, to have our back, these residents back, this operating loss bothers me. And the continuum of that, without a further explanation, is like, where are we at? And at what point, we've got depreciation. You use a depreciation life of 85 years on this pipe. Is 85 years reasonable? I don't know if it is. If an engineer says that's what it is, but you know you're going to be, at least me, if it lasts 85 years, wonderful. And that's the depreciation factor that they're using, and it's still creating an operating loss. Their revenues from users, meaning their charges for services, are $2 million less than the cost to operate the system. So something's got to give somewhere. So I just point that out from the financial perspective, that there's more to physical construction and there's financial ability to back this up. So if anyone wants to address it, fine, but that I don't
You're asking me to address it?
Would you like me to address it?
Sure.
As a distortion of the facts.
Still, again, I cannot hear you.
Could you come up to that?
Please come up to the microphone.
Folks, I don't mind if we just disagree on facts. That's fine. You can dislike the answers we're giving. That's fine. We can just agree to disagree. I don't have any problem with that. Trustee Sands, with all due respect, sir, I have told you repeatedly, I am very happy to discuss anything with you at any time or place. Unfortunately, it's here. I'm very frustrated right now. That is a
And I am too, because this should be, you're talking transparency, there should be transparency. So don't preach to me about that.
Okay. I think the best way to resolve this would be that perhaps my accountant and myself could come meet with you, because we don't operate at a deficit. We have a very good bond rating. We have a very large cash reserve. We're running. We get good connection fees. There's not one-time fees. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I am the finance person for the agency.
Rules of management discussion and analysis. How do you not know what you're talking about?
I do know, and I would like to. I do know because I helped write it with my accountant, and I would really appreciate the opportunity, because I don't think this is going to be good. I would really appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you. I understand you're the CPA, sir. I very much respect that. And I would appreciate the opportunity for my accountant and myself, perhaps my chairman, to sit down with you and answer your questions in depth on that for a living. If that's something you would extend.
Sure. I can't determine what other income is because it's so vague in here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a big number.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not recurring.
I can assure you we are in great financial shape, charging great rates. Our accountants are at my board of directors of 13 mayors are extremely happy. We have a capital improvement plan that extends out 65 years. Every single asset is planned and programmed with the water rate. We have a long-term water rate. That's all covered.
Why are you losing money?
We're not losing any money. I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Well, Your schedule's right here, I didn't make it up.
Yeah, we're not losing money. I think this is something that I would like to just talk with you and my accountant. Because you're a CPA, obviously. I'm a chemist. I would rather have my CPA and you be able to discuss this. We've won the GFOA award for the last 20 years. Outstanding budget presentation. We are exemplary. So I'm concerned how you're viewing a public document in such a negative light. I would like to understand that so that we could better address that in the audit so someone couldn't come to the conclusions it is needs to.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lori, may I say something?
Yes, Dr. Grayson.
Thank you. So as a non-voting member of this board, I have had the unique opportunity to do a lot of listening, do a lot of behind-the-scenes research, ask a lot of questions, which thank you very much to Bill for answering them all satisfactorily, along with Melody from CLC Jawa. And I've asked questions that are different from maybe some of the ones the other board members have asked. The one question I did ask today was, what would purchasing easements look like along Arrowhead Drive, along the back of Diamond Lake Road? And Bill and I had a conversation, and we had a long time, and I'm also a licensed real estate agent, so I do understand how that will impact values of the property. And it would be devastating to your neighborhood, to the specific properties being impacted, because it would be taking 35 to 45 feet of the back of those neighborhoods where they would still own the property. They would still be responsible for paying taxes on that property, which is where I come in, but they wouldn't have the use of that property. Along with not only affecting them, it would affect the whole neighborhood in terms of that line of trees along Diamond Lake Road provides security, it provides a sound barrier, it provides a lot of privacy that you otherwise will not get. That is privacy, and again, I'm very familiar. My children go to Carmel High School, so I go travel along Diamond Lake Road a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
East side.
What about the east side?
What about the east side?
Are you talking the east side
No.
You're talking the west side.
Okay, this
or the west side?
This is in public comment at this point.
Good.
Was the question directed to me, or?
Addressed to the.
Do you have any more discussion?
The intent of the intergovernment agreement is for clarification of a variety of different questions that you've asked, questions that we have. For clarity, obviously Doug has some financial questions. They're not intended to pinpoint any negatives on the village or any of the companies that are involved in this. I believe this is the fastest way to resolving the answers and getting this resolved and moving forward that you're interested in, and the residents and us all to move on with this in the best interest of everybody. And there's still a lot of questions out there that need to be resolved. And I think an intergovernment agreement, it's not saying yes or no to the project, but it's answering the questions that we can move forward to make a decision in the most quickest way possible. That's my opinion.
Okay, so over the past month, I have visited several of the neighborhoods that are going to be affected in Hawthorne Woods, along Arrowhead, and in Lake Zurich. And the results of my surveys have been people in Arrowhead. The plurality were neutral on the project when I talked to them, but of those that had strong opinions, it was 3 that were neutral, and it was 2 that were strongly opposed, and 2 that were moderately opposed. In Hawthorne Woods, I was able to talk to people, and they were pretty evenly split. Most people didn't have a strong opinion, but of those that did, they were slightly in favor of going forward with the project. And The responses that I've received from Lake Zurich are unanimously in favor of the project, but the sample size is much smaller. I think that if we are going to go ahead with the project, we need to put in some firm guardrails around liability and so forth. I know that CLC Java has said that they would be there for residents. I'd like to get further clarification on exactly what that would mean. Will they be responsible not only if there is proven damage to a well, but if a well experiences a reduction in flow, for example. But those sorts of negotiations would require the intergovernmental agreement to move forward.
Trustee Zebra?
I agree with your statement up front, Lori. I immensely dislike the idea of having any government agency go into the east or west side of Diamond Lake Road where they're taking someone's property and making permanent changes to it that will change residents' use of that land indefinitely and change the property value. I agree that there are a lot of unanswered questions and things that we can do, but to your point, I think you need to have negotiations, and I'm appreciative of the idea of having residents engaged and involved with us as we explore what that might look like.
Thank you. So I'd like to call a vote. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, did you have something?
Just one other thing that I can pull out. And maybe I'm well off there, but the charter for a township, as I look at, is our responsibility is defined. It's general assistance, it's assessment of property, and it's maintaining and repairing roads in unincorporated areas. So my mindset is this meet the criteria of maintaining and repairing versus we just did those roads? And from the standpoint of coming in and tearing them up, is that a township purview that we can control or that we should be involved with? To me, it's the municipality. The municipalities have to have that responsibility, and that's probably by charter. But when you get into township purview, and our attorney is here, but it seems to be, to me, a stretch to be able to go in and we're not repairing, and we're not maintaining. And for that, we've already maintained it 3 years ago. So I guess that's what it's going on.
Sure. The Ela Township East Stable Road District, as you all know, that is the road authority under the Illinois Highway Code. And by nature of that dissolving, the township took over as the road authority. So it is within the purview. It is your decision. It's your title to that right of way, and then the actual road responsibility. All parts of it are the townships to do. To have the road, you just no one else will take it or have it because it's your job. So whether it's maintain it and keep it or otherwise it's yours, and therefore, in order for someone to access a right of way, which is by definition something that is there to potentially be accessed as a type of easement in itself. It needs your consent. Well, kind of, it could be appealed. But yeah, it generally needs, the easiest way is to get your consent, and by doing that, they could just ask and say yes or no, and instead of doing that, which would probably be a bad choice, right? Because then we could just say yes and or say no, and then they can ask the county, and the county can just say yes over our no. And then they can come in without any agreement or any protections or anything like that. So instead, I think what's on the table, what's being asked to be voted on, is actually working cooperation with all of the agencies involved, potentially a resident further input and direct contact with this process and negotiate something that's going to benefit everyone. And that's absolutely within the purview of the governmental purpose.
Good thing. I want to benefit everyone.
And that's what we're working towards every day. Anyone else?
Minor thing, there has been some concern noted about the idea that, like, of the roads that come off of Eagle Drive, each of them have like 2 entrances and exits, and if we could just make sure that, like, at any time, is there construction going on at both of those?
Right, and that's something that we would take care of.
Yes. Yes, we need to do negotiations for that.
Okay. The motion was by Trustee Fox. Yes.
We're doing the vote now.
We're doing the vote. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Trustee Ziegler.
Yes.
Trustee Sands.
For the benefit of everyone, yes.
Trustee Bowman.
Yes.
And Supervisor Roy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to number 7, which is the consent agenda.
We can do that.
Still fine to be on that 3, but he's 2 or 3 on that committee. I hereby nominate you both. I'm not sure.
Was that the final negotiating with the process? Well, yeah. Okay. It sounds like it does. Yeah.
The consent agenda, we have 2 items on the consent agenda. The first is to accept the meeting minutes from accept the board meeting minutes from February 11, 2026. The committee meeting minutes, accept the meeting minutes from the Community Center Committee, the Highway and Parks Committee, the Health and Wellness Committee, the Committee of the Whole, and the special board meeting of March 4th, and approval of the board audit from February 26th to February 28th, 2026, as follows. General Town Fund, $190,707.29. Total General Assistance Fund, $4,159.90. Total General Road Fund, $34,255.08. Total Permanent Road Fund, $141,160.96. Total Park Maintenance Fund, $15,864.19. Total Cemetery Maintenance Fund, $3,141.05. Total of all funds, $389,288.47. Can I, one note, we do want to have an amendment to the special board meeting minutes. So, as noted, yes. Motion by Trustee Bowman.
Second.
And by Trustee Glass. Okay, Trustee Bowman?
Yes.
Trustee Glass? Yes. Supervisor Rowley? Yes. Trustee Sands?
Yes.
And Trustee Ziegler?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Elected officials reports?
Sure. My full report's in the bulletin board packet. I did want to note that the election materials were delivered today to Town Hall. They're being stored upstairs securely. Election judges are arranging to pick up their materials tomorrow, which is Thursday and Friday. I encourage all eligible voters to vote in the primary election and take advantage of the opportunity to vote at any of the early voting sites in Lake County. I also wanted to update the FOIA responses for the month. We've had 2 noted in the board packet. I just responded to a 3rd today. So
We have 3 for the month.
Thank you. Trustee Barrington?
Sure. We're continuing working towards completion of our 2026 assessment values, including the addition of new construction, home improvement exemptions, and the cleanup work remaining from the prior assessment cycle. We've already begun receiving appeals filed with the Illinois Property Tax Appeal Board. At this time, we have received 33 residential appeals and 2 commercial appeals. Before I came down to the meeting, I received an email with a lot of other additions to that, so we're probably up over 100. We recently hired a new full-time field inspector. His name is Andrew. He is an Army veteran who brings valuable experience to the position, including the possession of his CDL, or commercial driver's license. Last week, he attended training at Grant Township, and he's already been demonstrating what an asset it will be to our office, and we're excited to have him. We now are nearly back to our 2021 staffing levels, with the only remaining vacancy in our office being for the commercial deputy assessor position, which we continue to recruit for while we look for the right candidate. At the end of February, I met with State Representative Saeed and participated in a short informational video discussing the new income limits for the senior citizen assessment freeze homestead exemption. That video is available online, and we have received a lot more people coming in because of that now, which is great for them, the seniors, to be made aware of the expanded income limits that were passed through the state. Representative Saeed is also assisting our office with an issue involving a recently granted property tax exemption for an apartment building within our township, which we believe may have been granted in error by the state. As a result of this exemption, approximately $167,566 in tax burden has been shifted to other taxpayers within the township since 2023. So that is a huge amount of money that has fallen off of the books, and it affects not only our township, but it affects things like the school district, the library, all sorts of other organizations. We also received the abstract of our assessed values for 2025, and in total, the total equalized assessed value for Ela Township is $3,496,092,544, which is an estimated market value of $10,489,326,565. Of the 18 townships in Lake County, Ela Township currently ranks as having the 3rd highest assessed value, only behind Vernon Township and Libertyville Townships. I do have the breakdown of property class values in my report. And then finally, I would like to thank the Township Board for its continued support as our office continues to rebuild staffing levels and strengthen operations in order to provide better services to the residents of Ela Township. So thank you to you all.
Thank you, Trustee Barrington. Trustee Bowman?
Nothing.
Trustee Glass?
I already mentioned that I've been out to some neighborhoods in regards to the water project. I hope to be able to go out again now that we are going to be negotiating to collect info from them on what they want to see in the negotiations.
Thank you. Trustee Sands?
Just one thing that I did have the pleasure of attending, District 95 Education Foundation Gala on February 28th, and to see the support for the school District 95, etc., and the response from at least the parents, community there, it was really very good. So hopefully I represented the township well. I spent my money.
Thank you. Trustee Tyler?
I know Susan will probably cover this. I do just want to do a quick shout out, compliments to you and to Jim on the newsletter. It does look great. I saw it yesterday. And then also, just another shout out to Joe with the summer camp registration and the policy. I think those changes are really going to benefit the township and make it much more equitable who's engaged and involved in the summer camp. So thanks to your team for all the hard work.
Okay, my report's going to be short and simple. Again, love the new catalog. Looks great. I'm excited about the upcoming dental clinic. Sarah is meeting with them again tomorrow, Director Marks. Just if you get a chance to make sure to read Jeff Taylor's report with the cemetery. He's working on that tirelessly and we appreciate all his effort. Tomorrow, Ted and I are meeting with the representative from Community School District 95, just to talk about our relationship with them. So that's updates. And then department reports. Administration, Ted?
Yeah, the only thing outside of my report that I'll add is we've reached the RFP for the staircase and facade repairs at Town Hall has been published, and we have so far 2 inquiries from different vendors. So that's positive. The next step is on March 16th. We'll have a walkthrough, so any interested vendors can come and ask questions, and I'll be here to answer to hopefully drive interest in tickets.
RFP stands for what?
Request for person. Request for person.
Thank you. Any questions for Ted? Community Center?
Oh, yeah, you don't have it.
I'm not sad. Pretty much everything is in our report. I did want to give a couple shout outs. One, to the massive team of volunteers we've had as of late, especially. They have been key, and I say that prior to us having over 85 people on Friday night for St. Patrick's Day, and they are in the kitchen with me every week, as well as our District 95. The volunteers that we have to come from the district every day, Monday through Thursday, and work with our youth staff and with us. They're amazing, and it's just great to be able to have that relationship with the district. And then lastly, because it has been an incredibly trying month, just with everything, the new database, and new newsletter, and making the newsletter translate to a new database has been tedious and frustrating, and I'm glad everyone has gotten along well. And particularly Nixie and Joe have been just tirelessly working on this. In fact, I busted Joe being up till midnight at home working on it. So nothing comes easy when it comes to new technology, and I just want to make sure we manage it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and this is her new catalog.
Yes, it's fantastic. How many extra copies of that do you have, like printed copies?
75.
Thank you. Health and Wellness Chair is not able to attend tonight. Highway Park?
I have nothing else to add to my report.
Thank you. Transportation, Cemetery, both in the packet. So we move into number 10, new business, budget.
Lori, just real quick, clarification, RFP is request for proposals, not personal.
Number 10 is new business. Number 8 is budget fiscal year ending 3/31/27. Consideration and possible action to approve the tentative budget for the purpose of conducting business on or after 4/1/26, pending final approval of the budget and appropriations ordinance at a later date.
Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? And this is, Ted, do you want to explain why we do this? For the public who might be watching? There is anyway?
Sure, yeah. So our fiscal year starts April 1st. We historically have not approved our final budget until after we receive our tax levy from the county, which we will not receive until the end of the month at best. So because of state requirements for public postings before we can approve the final budget, we approve this tentative budget just to get us until we can finalize our numbers.
Thank you for clarifying.
Sure.
Okay. Go for a vote. Trustee Bowman?
Yes.
Trustee Glass? Yes.
Supervisor Wilhoit?
Yes.
Trustee Sands?
Yes.
Trustee Bowman? Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Went backwards, sorry. Trustee Zeigler? Yes. Can I, one quick question? Ted, what's the total budget increase from, sorry?
Total budget.
So the increase, the percentage increase?
Well, we levy 3%.
3%, okay. Thank you. Yes. Okay, thank you. That motion carries.
I appreciate the opportunity to try to vote twice.
I know. Vote early, vote often. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. All right.
Okay. Number 10B, fiscal year 2027 audit service. Consideration and possible action to approve auditing service for 2026 with Sickage in the amount of $15,000.
Motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And then discussion. Trustee Sam?
I think we will.
Okay, wonderful. No discussion? Let's go vote.
Okay. Trustee Bowman?
Yes.
Trustee Sands?
Yes.
Trustee Zeigler?
Yes.
Trustee Glass?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhoit?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, 10C, annual town meeting notice and agenda. Consideration and possible action to approve the notice and agenda for the annual town meeting on April 14th, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Motion. Approved.
Okay. Second? Second. Okay. Any discussion?
Trustee Glass, did you have a question?
Yeah, could you guys explain a little bit more about the difference between this annual town meeting and our regular board meeting?
Yes, I would love to. So the annual town meeting is an annual meeting held for the electors of the township. At the annual town meeting, you as a trustee you have no authority. You are just a voting member of the public. It's open to registered voters of the township. And it's for the purpose, again, of opening up the township's operations to the electors. There's certain criteria that the electors are allowed to vote on based on their statutory authorities. So it's going to operate a little bit differently than our board meetings typically do.
Okay. Can we get a... But it's by themselves, yeah.
Great. Trustee Bowman?
Yes.
Trustee Zeigler?
Yes.
Trustee Sands?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhoit? Yes. Trustee Glass?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, 10D, sports field contract with Lake Zurich Baseball and Softball Association. Consideration and possible action to approve sports field contract in 2026 between Ela Township and Lake Zurich Baseball and Softball Association in the amount of $525.
Motion. Second.
Discussion?
Just a quick clarification. Can you explain or tell me why for baseball and softball we're charging $525, but we aren't doing any for the soccer?
Yes. We maintain that part. Okay. And so we include those costs. And so we charge the baseball for their use of that part. For the soccer field, Ela Soccer pays to maintain the soccer field portion of the field. So we maintain it.
Okay. Thank you.
Again, these fees were established not to be a money-making, but to cover our maintenance. Because they are paying taxes to the property.
Right, and we did purchase new benches for the last year for the baseball field.
Sweat equity.
Exactly. And all the contracts were reviewed by our attorneys, and so they're all up to date.
And the basic only difference is that you've asked for an increase on the insurance.
Insurance, and there was a 5% increase to the fee.
Yeah. Everything else is...
It hasn't been increased in 5 years, so it was a $25 increase. So to be open and honest.
The insurance was...
Yes, increased. Yeah, and we added about 10.
Just keeping in conjunction with...
It had injuries was also stipulated in the contract now, too.
Legal fees keep going up. Yeah.
You said they haven't been increased since what year?
2020.
Okay. Thank you. All right. We ready for a vote?
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Bowman?
Yes.
Trustee Glass?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhoit?
Yes.
Trustee Sam?
Yes.
And Trustee Zeigler?
Yes. Okay, number 10E is sports field contract with the Ela Soccer Club. To have a motion to approve the contract with the Ela Soccer Club in the amount of nothing because they take care of the maintenance of this field.
Yes.
Motion.
And everybody understands why it's zero on this one?
Yeah, you just explained that, so.
Okay. All right, trustee Glass?
Yes.
Trustee Ziegler?
Yes.
Trustee Sams?
Yes.
Supervisor Roy?
Yes.
And trustee Bowman?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the 10F is executive session minutes from January 14th, 2026. Consideration and possible action to approve the executive session minutes of January 14th, 2026. I'm asking for a motion to approve and not to release the executive meeting minutes of January 14th, 2026.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Okay. Trustee Fox?
Yes.
Trustee Ziegler?
Yes.
Trustee Bowman?
Yes.
Trustee Sams?
Yes.
Supervisor Roy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, number 11 is executive session. I'm looking for a motion to enter executive session to discuss 5 Illinois CS 120-2, parentheses C29. Need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Trustee Ziegler?
Yes.
Trustee Fox?
Yes.
Trustee Bowman?
Yes.
Trustee Sams?
Yes.
Supervisor Wiley?
Yes.
Okay. We are.
Okay, I should go through the
Okay.
Yep.
Entering executive session at 8:21 p.m.
Nothing's going to
To come out. Thank you. That is at 9:10.
Kelly, is that right?
Second. Second from Kelly.
Trustee Ziegler?
From Trustee Ziegler. All right. Can we do an all in favor here? All in. A roll call vote. Wonderful. Trustee Bowman?
Yes.
Trustee Ziegler?
Yes.
Trustee Sams?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhoit? Yes. Trustee Glass?
Yes.
All in favor. Okay. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second. Okay. That I can do.